Hi, let's discuss operating systems today. On a broad level, operating system is a managing software which manages the resources that you have and provides services to the applications which are designed to do certain tasks. So, the basic idea of operating system is to handle the resources that it has in an efficient manner so that they are utilized for the applications and all the applications get more or less a fair chance to execute and finish their tasks. So, if you want to relate it to some real life example, let's take a very crude example of construction work, in which there are certain people who are actually doing the construction work, and there are some resources which they'll be using. So, there should be someone who manages those resources so that those resources are used efficiently, so that there is no wastage of the resources, and everyone gets a fair chance to use those resources so that the construction work moves on at a fairly regular pace. So the operating system works in a similar way like a manager works in a construction work. So since the people who actually contribute to the uh, work in a construction are the people who are actually doing the construction work and not the manager. So manager in a way acts as an overhead for the revenue share, but you can't live without a manager if the construction work is fairly big. If it is a small one, you might argue that there is no need of a manager, and the people who are actually doing the work can complete the work, and the revenue could be shared between them. But if the work expands, then you definitely need some resource management so that it is not wasted. Otherwise, the most of the resources are not utilized efficiently, and you end up in a resource wastage and in turn a revenue wastage. On a similar basis, in computer science world, operating system acts as an overhead on the performance of the hardware, but you can't live without it if you want to handle multiple resources and multiple users who want to use that hardware at hand. So if it's a single application and a single user on a computer, you don't need operating system because it's only a single user and single application. That application and user get the whole hardware all the time. So there is no need of an operating system. But when you want to handle multiple users and multiple applications, those resources have to be managed in an efficient way. So you need a managing software. No doubt it acts as an overhead. So because it also gets a chunk of execution time of that hardware, and which is not productive for the application tasks. But that is required to have the efficient usage of the hardware and give a user friendly interface to the application tasks. So the tasks can be relieved of the way in which hardware is handled. So can then they can directly use the interfaces provided by the the operating system, and operating system in turn can the handle the managing of different hardware resources at different point between different users and different tasks. In the similar way, at construction work, manager handles which resource should go to which worker. So the worker can directly communicate with the manager. They don't need to know who all are working on the resources and when he has to release the resource so that the other can use it. So he has to only contact the manager, and it's the manager's responsibility so that there is communication, there is synchronization between different workers and the resources utilized in a proper way. So since we might end up in a situation in construction where like a same resource can be used, may be needed by two different people, and its manager's responsibility to take care of such and certain tasks. There could be a similar scenarios which might arise in our computer science world, like two applications might need a hardware resource at the same time. Suppose two applications want to execute at the same time, so then both need CPU. So in that case, operating system has to handle. So there are many ways in which we handle. We go for scheduling algorithms in which different applications or different tasks are scheduled at different time. So it is in a way it is operating system's responsibility to take care that different same resource is allotted to different applications and different users at different time. So how do we do that? We'll not go into that in the present video. We'll take such issues in the companion videos. We'll go in detail how those stuffs are done, how the scheduling algorithms are used. In this video, we'll just take on a broader level what is operating system. When we come to operating systems, there are different kinds of operating system. The general purpose of operating system which we use on our laptops and desktop computers, like the Windows, Macintosh, and the Linux, which are general purpose operating systems, which are mostly there with a very fine GUI, graphical user interface, so that they are very user friendly. In this way, we have a very good user interface in these operating systems, and they handle multiple users and multiple tasks, and they are not intended for real-time applications. They are more intended towards the efficient usage of the resources and providing interface so that they can handle multiple users and multiple applications. But there are different variety of operating systems, like real-time operating systems, where it is not necessary to handle multiple users. There are no multiple users in real-time applications, but the constraints are different in a way. Like, there is a maximum latency time for a task, maximum time in which a response has to be given, and the throughput has to there is a minimum throughput which has to be met. So such constraints are quite different from the constraints that we have on our laptops or desktop computers, like for Windows and Macintosh. So for such applications, for real-time applications, we go for real-time operating systems like VxWorks, or there are some commercial RTOSes available for that. So we'll not go into detail of any of the operating systems in this video, but on the broad level, operating system is a managing software which has to manage different constraints depending on different environment. So maybe it's a desktop environment or embedded environment. So similar to construction work, depending on the construction work, there could be a huge mansion which has to be built, in which case the architecture is completely different, the resources used are completely different. On the other hand, if it is set of row houses, then the architecture is completely different, resource usage is completely different, time frame is different. So depending on different construction work, you have to apply different, the manager has to handle it in a different way. In similar basis, depending on the constraints that operating system gets, it has to manage the resources and users in a different way. So on a broader level, so what we understand is operating system is a managing software which manages the hardware which is at hand and provides services to different users who are using that hardware, and different applications which are running on that hardware and using that hardware. So this is all about operating systems. If you have any questions, please post your questions in the comment section below, and we'll try to make companion videos in which we'll go into details of these topics. Thank you.